The repertory is something that we should all familiarize ourselves with, and I think it's very important. And sometimes with the idea of concepts and kingdoms and themes, etc., the repertory can be neglected, and I think that's a big loss. So the subject of this talk is going to be the value of the repertory and a little bit about how we can use it. I started my study of homeopathy with the repertory. My father, who was repertorizing every single case of his, who was actually teaching the repertory for many years of his life, he used to bring home some cases from his clinic even when I was as young as 13 or 14 years old, and he would ask me to do the repertory work. Means he would give me the rubrics, desire for sweet or aggravation from warmth, and I would have to go to the repertory and do the work for him and find common remedies between these two rubrics. So that's how from a young age I became quite familiar with the repertory. Even before I actually knew the names of the remedies, I only knew the abbreviations. In those days, Kent's repertory was almost exclusively used. Later on, in the year 1976 or 77, Barthel and Klunker, who are from Germany and Switzerland, they brought out the synthetic repertory, in which they had added to Kent's repertory from 14 different repertories, and they brought out 3 volumes of it. The first volume was on mind, the second on generalities, and the third was on sleep, dreams and sexuality. My father, he used the repertory in almost every single case, and I can see from his case records, repertorization of every case was so neatly written down. With this kind of background, the repertory became one of the main tools of my practice. Let us try to understand the repertory a little bit more. A repertory, as we all know, it's an index of symptoms, with each symptom listing the remedies for it. These symptoms are arranged in an organized fashion under different chapters, and the rubrics are arranged under them. What are the advantages of repertory? They are really too numerous even to list them, but I will just mention some prominent advantages. 1. It helps us to know the remedies because our memory is not even a fraction of all that is of the materia medica. Therefore, it's impossible for us to remember all the symptoms of all the remedies, and without an index we would be really lost. So Hahnemann himself, even though he had such few remedies at that time, maybe 90 or so, he still found the necessity to make an index or a first repertory, which he called Fragmenta de Viribus Medicamentorum Positivis. Later on, Bonninghausen, with Hahnemann's concurrence, made a repertory of antisorics, and then he developed further repertories. If a great man like Hahnemann, and in spite of having far fewer remedies than us, still needed the repertory, then why shouldn't we? Our knowledge of materia medica is limited to a few symptoms of a few remedies, and this gives us a completely one-sided picture. For example, we all know that Pulsatilla is thirstless and Bryonia is extremely thirsty. But if we look in the repertory, you can have a look under mouth, dry with thirstlessness. then you find bryonia is in the highest grade. So when you read the repertory, then you see that your symptom picture of remedies is far too limited, and remedies are far bigger than what we can know from memory. We all know that calcarea carb patients perspire a lot, but if you look in the rubric, skin, dry, inability to perspire despite exertion, you will find very few remedies there, and calcarea carb is one of them. So from this you know that if a patient absolutely cannot perspire, he can still be calcarea carb. It's one of the indications of calcarea carb, and I have used this in my cases. So the repertory broadens our understanding of remedies. If you look at pulsatilla in any materia medica, the first thing they will tell you, it's mild, it's yielding, weeping disposition. But if you see the rubric irritable, you find pulsatilla in the highest grade. So you understand that pulsatilla can have an extremely irritable side to it, and later on when we study the family Ranunculaceae, we see that it's actually irritability and the anger that is a hallmark of pulsatilla, and that the mildness and the yielding disposition is only a cover for this irritability. That's so interesting, isn't it? In fact, in my practice, I use irritability and anger as one of the main indications of pulsatilla, only knowing that this is very deeply hidden and covered up by its mild, yielding outer front. Another advantage of the repertory is that there are many peculiar symptoms that we would never know unless we had a repertory. It is also important to see that repertory is a bridge between the patient and the materia medica, and ultimately we must use the repertory as a bridge and not the final destination. That ultimately we need a remedy that matches the patient on the whole, and not simply a remedy that matches one symptom or one rubric of the patient. However, an extremely peculiar symptom can lead us to the remedy, and then we can examine if that remedy has a deeper similarity with the whole patient. We can then examine if the kingdom and miasm of the remedy and the patient match each other. We can also use the repertory to differentiate one remedy from the other. Also, we can use it to study the various families, to study the common sensation in a given group of remedies or in a given miasm. I have used the repertory with great effectiveness to find the common sensation of a family or of a miasm. The repertory can also be used to study the materia medica by making repertory extractions of materia medica from it, and then we can see the entire symptoms of a remedy arranged in a rubric format, in an alphabetical format, and this makes it very easy to search and to study remedies. Now, repertories have different forms. There are general repertories, there are local repertories, there used to be card repertories, now out of use, and then there are the computer repertories, the software repertories. General repertories, you know, are like Kent's repertory or complete or synthesis or synthetic, etc. You have Boning-Hossen's therapeutic pocketbook, you have Boger's Boning-Hossen's characteristics and repertory, and you have the concise repertory of Phatak, which is right here. Now you have, of course, very much expanded repertories like the synthesis and the complete. How do we use repertories? One common way is to hunt for the peculiar symptom. Let me give you an example from practice. I was sitting in the outpatient department of the hospital when was brought to me a 1-year-old child who had urethral stricture. There was great difficulty in passing urine and the child was advised surgical procedure. But they brought the child to me and I asked for symptoms and there were hardly any symptoms I could find. But after repeatedly asking, I found this symptom that they said the child sweats from here to here. Where does the child perspire? They said from the elbow to the wrist. This is where the child perspires. So this was a peculiar symptom. Everything else seemed to be okay except this one. So I looked the repertory, extremities, perspiration, forearm. And there's only one remedy in this, and that is petroleum. Then I checked up the rubric, urethra stricture, and also in this only petroleum is given in the highest marks. So I gave the child petroleum and there was immediate improvement. In 1 week the symptoms of the stricture was gone, and now we have a follow-up of more than 10 years. This problem never recurred again. I'll give you another case. उसको रेपर्टरी दो ना उधर से कंप्लीट या जो भी. दो वॉल्यूम्स हैं. This patient was a son of a journalist who came with high fever. This was an acute condition. I asked the parents, how did this fever start? What happened? Is there any exciting factor? And the parents said that the child was lying down and the volume of the television which was being watched by the other family members was very loud, and the boy said, please lower the volume, please lower the volume, it's too loud for me. But somehow the family was very excited with that program and they didn't lower the television, and after some time the boy developed fever. Very interesting. So there is a rubric under fever, fever noise from, and the remedy that is given is bryonia. I confirmed that the child had other symptoms of bryonia, and with this bryonia the fever came down beautifully. I'll give you another case example. Early on in my practice, I had a woman who had come with vitiligo. She had white spots, bilaterally symmetrical on her extremities and her face, etc. In fact, most of her skin had become white, and it had become white on both the sides at the same time. I was talking to her. She had actually come for some other illness, not even the white spots, because white spots she had lived with for a long time and it didn't bother. She had come for some urinary infection or something like that. And as I was talking to her, I found she was making a lot of jokes. She used to just be very humorous, and we had a lot of laughing going on over here. But what was happening was that whenever she would say something, I would joke, she would joke, laughter was going on, and there was not too many other symptoms. I'll give you an example. I asked her, how do you sleep? She says, well, you know, I wake up like at about 2 or 3 in the morning, and then I can't get to sleep again. And then I said, what do you do then when you wake up at 2 or 3 o'clock? And she said, I converse with God. I just have a good conversation with him, I chat with him. And then she laughed a little bit. And I said, if you don't get sleep, then what is your problem? Why do you disturb God? You know, he should be happy. Let him sleep. You know, if you don't get sleep, at least you let him sleep. And she told me very quickly, she said, I think it's the other way around, doctor. I think it's God who gets disturbed in his sleep and he wakes me up in order to talk to him. And then we would both laugh. The case was going on like this. The other thing about her was that she was very much aggravated by warmth. She couldn't stand heat. And she was known as the walker because come wind or come rain or come anything, she had to walk, and she was very much relieved by walking in the open air. This was one of the early cases I had. And then you see the rubrics are there. Loquacity with jesting. There's a rubric. Loquacity with jesting. Walking in the open air ameliorates. Warmth in general aggravates. Skin discoloration, white spots, and symmetrical affections. These were the rubrics, and the remedy was kali iodatum. And with kali iodatum, much to her surprise, her skin got back the color again. We didn't expect this. After so many years of her having complete vitiligo, the spots came back again, her skin became brown again. I would like to share with you some very useful rubrics which I use from the repertory. These are symptoms that are not commonly known, but which I found through the repertory and I use them in practice. I'll give you one example. A person having a backache, or he may not even have a backache, he sits down for a long time in a chair. For example, he's sitting in my consulting room for some time, 1 hour, 2 hours, something like that. And then when he tries to get up, he's not able to become erect immediately. So he gets up and then his back is bent and then slowly and then there he gets erect again. And then this is a very, very good symptom of thuja. I have confirmed this in many cases. You will see this under the rubric back pain, standing erect, almost impossible after sitting. I repeat again, back pain, standing erect, almost impossible after sitting. I have found this very confirmatory of thuja. It's the only remedy there. I'll give you some other very interesting confirmatory symptoms that I use in my practice, and for sure it will be of use to you. For example, genitalia female, menses wash off difficult too. It's a great confirmation of magnesium carbonicum. Sometimes the stains remain and they cannot be washed off. Another very interesting symptom which is confirmatory of aurum metallicum is nose, knobby tip. Knobby is spelled Knobby. So there's the tip of the nose is like a knob. It's actually like something you can pull out. You know, it's round like a clown's nose. Then it's very good symptom of aurum. You wouldn't know this peculiar symptoms through materia medica. It escapes you because they are so small, but they are so peculiar that in the repertory, especially when they are what we call as single symptoms. A single symptom is that symptom for which there is only one remedy, and so it really stands out. If you find that symptom, you immediately think of that remedy or try to see if that's the remedy for the case. Or you use that as confirmation once you know the remedy. For example, if I think that the patient needs lycopodium, one symptom I never fail to confirm is extremities, cracks in the feet heal. So in lycopodium, the cracks occur only in the heel area. That's very interesting, because like in remedies like graphites, petroleum, etc., the cracks occur on the whole feet. But if it's only in the heel, then it's a good indication for lycopodium. If it is all over the soles, not the edges, but all the whole sole, arsenicum, extremities, cracks, feet, sole is arsenicum. One indication of thuja is when the fingernails are ribbed. That means they are as if they are corrugated, they are just wavy. If this very strong, it's thuja symptom. Another, when there are warts, and the warts are found in the nape of the neck. You find many people, there are fleshy warts coming out in the nape of the neck. In homeopathy, the repertory lists nape of the neck as cervical region. So you have back, warts, cervical region. This is a good indication of remedies like silica, nitric acid and thuja. If the patient has warts on the fingers, this is a very good indication of lac caninum. I saw in the OPD just 2 weeks ago a girl who had come with about 40 or 50 warts all over her fingers, and I gave lac caninum based on her whole story. Now do remember, no remedy or no homeopath is going to prescribe a remedy based on one rubric or one symptom. When I give you the symptom and the remedy, it doesn't mean when you find the symptom you give that remedy. I mean, you can, nobody stops you, but generally you will not get a good result in most cases. What you need to do is use that indication, that peculiar symptom, as a kind of hint, and to see if the rest of it matches. That's what you have to really know this. So I gave lac caninum based on the totality, and really all the warts just disappeared within 3 or 4 weeks. Another symptom which is confirmatory of silica is asthma, respiration, asthmatic, worse from draught of air. Just think about it. Most people with asthma would like air because they feel a little bit suffocated. They want air. But in silica, the peculiar symptom, it's a single symptom of silica, that when they have asthma and they sit under a draught of air, things get worse. I have used that very often to give silica. Another symptom, this is a very common one, baldness, head, hair, baldness of young people. You know, people who lose their hair very fast, they become bald very soon. It's a good hint for 2 remedies, baryta carb and silica. I have confirmed this many times in practice. Of course, you never give these remedies just because a young 30-year-old guy comes with a male pattern alopecia. Doesn't mean you have to give him baryta carb or silica, but you use that as a hint. So these are some very, very nice hints I could share with you, and the repertory is so full of these hints, it's unbelievable. Another thing that where I used the repertory quite a bit was in the chapters on delusions and dreams. When my practice evolved from a stage of facts to the stage of emotions and then to delusions, I found that the repertory was useful at all levels. Facts, like I showed you just now, emotions and also in delusions. I found that it was extremely useful to understand the state of the mind to know the delusion. So the delusion actually gives you the way the patient perceives reality. It's at a level 4 where you can see how the patient perceives reality. I'll give you an example. For example, the delusion of being alone in the wilderness of stramonium. It is an exact symptom of how stramonium perceives reality. If I take you and put you in the middle of a jungle or in the middle of a desert, this is wilderness. And then how do you experience the fear, the panic, the craving for light and company is very typical of stramonium. And very often when you take stramonium patient right into the depth of his perception, he can give you this actual vision that I feel I am alone in the jungle or in a deserted place. You know, the favorite delusion of Thuja is that the body is brittle. This is the perception of Thuja, that his body is like it's made of glass, that is very sensitive, very brittle. You have to be very careful, very cautious. You have to handle it with gloves. This is the feeling. And what is interesting is later on you learn how to apply this in practice, and that is so beautiful, I tell you. For example, in Thuja, the patient will often say, "Doctor, listen, please give me a medicine that is mild medicine, not strong medicine." Because you see, other people may be able to bear strong medicine, but my body, it can't take anything strong. So please, just for me, don't make it strong medicine. Which means it's like saying the other people's body is okay, but mine is very delicate, very fragile, very brittle. So please be cautious with it. This is very good symptom of Thuja. Take another delusion. Delusion, soda water bottle thinks he is. That he is a bottle of soda water. That's so interesting. Is the remedy there is cannabis indica and argentum nitricum. If you have a look at especially argentum nitricum, you find that the main feeling of argentum nitricum is like the feeling of being under tremendous pressure. It's like a claustrophobic situation with the nitricum part, that he just wants to come out and just come out and breathe. This kind of being put under a lot of pressure is the feeling of being a bottle of soda water. See, we have to understand this. This is the images the patient will give, that I am under very high pressure. I feel as if I am under a lot of pressure, that I will explode. This is like nitricum. So this is the whole chapter of delusion has to be understood as a perception. Otherwise you will be waiting for the one day for the patient to say, "Doctor, what you see is not true. I am actually a bottle of soda water." But the patient is not going to say it like this. He is going to give you an image. Delusions are images. For example, the rubric is delusion, crime he had committed. Many remedies, I can think of aurum, I can think of medorinum. These are remedies that have a very strong feeling, I have done something wrong, I have done a crime. Delusion, injury will receive. Now, a very good rubric. Remedies like stramonium and hyoscyamus, as if I will be hurt, physically hurt, as if somebody is going to come and beat me up. This is the fear, the panic that comes in stramonium and hyoscyamus. Or as if I am going to be assaulted. Delusion, assaulted he is going to be in tarantula. So these are the some of the delusions I can point out to. What is important is that we have to combine with delusion also the dream and the fear.